Is welcome in here to Slaughterhouse Sports, and I wanted to give a preview. Last video of the evening, I wanted to give a preview of Colorado and Oregon State. This is going to be a really tough game for Colorado. I mean, Colorado, the thing that I really got to respect about them is after the bye week, they went to UCLA. Anthony Lynn's son is a rising star in the coaching profession. A lot of people think that UCLA is a team that's just going to spread it out, that's just going to try to outscore people like they did with DTR and Chip Kelly a couple of years ago. But really their defense is like a top 5, really top 3 defense in all of college football. And UCLA, I mean, that was a really tough game because Shedeur Sanders got absolutely crushed in that game. And now the road doesn't get any easier because you're going to have an angry Oregon State team that just lost a really tough game to Arizona. Very competitive game in Tucson. Arizona and Oregon State are both on the rise, and I was wrong about Jedd Fisch. I just thought that he was another NFL offensive guy. I didn't know that he could build a program, and Arizona has really stepped up their game, and Arizona's a really good program. So, I mean, Arizona's rounding in the form with a freshman quarterback, but we're here to talk about Oregon State, and Oregon State played Arizona State tough. They've only lost their 2 games by a combined 6 points. They also beat Utah and UCLA on their schedule. Believe that they also crushed Fresno State. DJ Uiagalelei, he was the least of Clemson's problems. You see that really Clemson doesn't have a lot of perimeter talent. And now with Johnathon Smith, I mean, you're going to play good football, really, if you have the talent that DJ does. And Oregon State, I mean, that's a very tight outfit, meaning that everything is run very specifically, very buttoned up. And Johnathon Smith is one of the best coaches in college football, and a lot of people are going to see that. It's a primetime, nighttime game at Colorado. Now, I really like nighttime football, and I have no problem staying up on the East Coast to watch nighttime football, but Coach Prime said that he doesn't want to play nighttime games because, he has a lot of family in Florida. He's from the East Coast, Central Time Zone as well, and living in Texas. I get that it's late and not a lot of people are going to watch Colorado and you do have to wait around the play, but I love primetime games, and heck, it's Coach Prime. This matchup's going to be really tough. I mean, Oregon State on the year is averaging 3 sacks a game. They're giving up through the air 240 yards, which is middle of the pack, but their defense is still towards the top. And when Utah came to Corvallis, Utah didn't put up much points. Now, they've been on and off. I mean, Cal still put up 40 on this Oregon State defense, but Oregon State, they're averaging 175 rush yards a game. I mean, they're a physical football team. That's what Johnathon Smith prides himself on. And I just think Oregon State's really sharp, and I just think that Colorado, they don't have the depth on the line of scrimmages. And I think it's going to be tough to block Oregon State. And then defensively, Colorado, they did decent against UCLA, but UCLA their offense hasn't even been that great through the air. And you look at Stanford, and Stanford was able to really put up a lot of points on this Colorado secondary. I know Travis Hunter is back. I just think that this is going to be a really tough game for Colorado to come home to, especially after such a physical game at UCLA. So, I mean, Oregon State's a double-digit touchdown, and unfortunately for Buffs fans, I mean, I would be really shocked if Colorado won the game, and I think Oregon State has a really decent chance to cover. I think Oregon State, trying to think, I mean, Oregon was a really good team that Colorado played, but I think Oregon State would beat USC on a neutral field. I think Oregon State is more complete. And I think Oregon State's going to put in a really good effort, and I think that Oregon State's probably going to win this game in the 20s. I mean, I know Shedeur is great. I know that Weaver and Travis Hunter can be really good, and I know that Colorado is still competitive. And against USC, they stayed competitive. Against UCLA, they actually fought valiantly to stay in that game. And Shedeur Sanders, it was arguably his most impressive performance because he went up against a great defense, and every time he's getting hit, and he's showing resiliency. He's showing his toughness. He's showing his character in those trying moments when 95% of college quarterbacks would have just absolutely just went in the tank or showed a lot of frustration towards their offensive line. Shedeur Sanders stayed tough in that UCLA game, but UCLA is great. This conference, it's really a very tough year. I'd say that this is the best that the Pac-12 has been in like a decade. Arizona's a really tough team. Oregon State's elite. Like, I watch these teams on a week-to-week basis. Like, even Washington State has really talented offense with Cam Ward at quarterback. There's no easy out in this conference. Even Stanford's getting a little bit better under Troy Taylor. But really, these next two games of Arizona and Oregon State, they're going to be really tough. I mean, these are programs that are in, Johnathon Smith's been at, I believe, Oregon State probably about 6 years, and he's really built that program, and it's humming right now. I mean, Oregon State was like a 10-win team last year, and heck, they have a chance to be, a 9 or a 10-win team this year. And then Arizona is just really playing its best football too towards the back half of their year, and they're coming into Colorado as well. The Big 12 is certainly going to be an easier slate. You just look at the Big 12, you got Baylor, you got teams like TCU, Texas Tech. I mean, Colorado can jump right in, and if Colorado was in the Big 12 and they had some linemen, I mean, they could compete immediately in the Big 12 actually, just with a couple more pieces. But the Pac-12 is just really deep, really talented. This isn't an offense to Colorado. I think that Oregon State is a really dangerous team. They're a top 15 team in the country. And Colorado, unfortunately, right now with the offensive line issues and not being complete on the defensive line, Colorado's got a ton of holes to fill. You got to get that D-line. You got to get that D-line humming. You got to get the linebackers. You got to get more secondary pieces. And I mean, the secondary is going to be really talented, but the guys need experience. And it's a really tough spot for Colorado. I just have a lot of I just think that Oregon State's just a really good team. DJ takes care of the football. They're going to run it. They're going to run it well at Colorado. They're going to wear them down throughout the course of a game, and it's going to be a tough contest for the Buffs. So I'm going to say a score prediction. I'm going to give Shedeur Sanders in the offense. I'll have them scoring 24, but I'm honestly going to have the Oregon State Beavers score 45. So 45-24. I could see a first half score of like 31-14, and then Oregon State's going to salt it away running the football. That's just how I see it playing out, honestly, guys. I think Oregon State can also cover in the game. Let me know what you guys think. You think Colorado has a chance to get right at home, or do you think, like me, this is an incredibly tough spot? Playing an angry Beavers team that just lost a really tight game last week against Arizona.